Kenyans just need to cooperate more.
All right, and Ruth, maybe to get your thoughts on that, but even as we get your thoughts, there's an article on page 6 of the Nation where state will send money to poor families directly. That's according to Munya. And one of the reasons why the state decided to do this, according to the minister, he says that the groups entrusted to distribute food by state agencies diverted up to 50% of the aid to their pockets, which again brings to light the very nature of the people we're dealing with here as Kenyans, by virtue of the fact that even this money as it's being sent, do we have enough infrastructure to ensure that this money ends up in the right pockets?
Well, when the state, when Kenyans started discussing whether the government would assist the vulnerable families and families that are unable to afford, families that basically rely on daily wages to sustain themselves, one of the arguments that I was positing was that why can't we use the Huduma number process that we had started, why can't we use Huduma number, the system, to be able to identify which families are in need or not? Because I remember during the Huduma number process, one of the things that guys were doing is that they were providing information about where they live, where they work, so it would be easy to tell who are daily wage earners, who have been affected or not, or even the census information that we had, the census information that had been collected. So I think what needs to happen moving forward is that just like other countries that have proper social welfare systems in place that can be able to identify where you are and use your contacts, and now, the same way that we have this program for the elderly, the Equity Bank program, cushion money for the elderly, that should apply to daily wage earners, vulnerable families, poor families, because now the biggest concern right now also is how will they identify who is vulnerable and who is not? In fact, yesterday when I posted the president's speech on my social media accounts, somebody asked me, how did they identify these families? When did they identify them? Because I'm guessing as she was asking that, she had in mind families that are vulnerable but have not been identified. So then again, you see, the whole question of corruption will still come in, because you know how Kenya works. What would prevent me, who probably has some little amount of money that I can sustain myself on, from knowing who is handling the process and bribing them to put me on that particular program? And then again, the other question becomes, how much of this money is going to be issued out to these families, Because if you say you're going to give them weekly stipends, and then you give them 500 shillings per week, and the family has five family members, 10 family members, because what's the rationale, Do we have, even as we're identifying the vulnerable, do we have like a structure that says families that have 5 children will be allocated this amount of money? Or is it a blanket amount of money, which in the long run might not necessarily be as useful as you'd want it to be? Okay. Because at the end of the day, remember, some of these families that are set to receive this assistance are families that were affected directly by COVID-19, that, if they were working in hotels or working in warehouses, the warehouses have been shut down, the hotels have been shut down, the nightclubs have been shut down. So it's not, they didn't have a choice.
All right, Ruth, we'll take a short break, and Mark, and do stay with us as we take this break. Just a quick reminder of that question that we're asking this morning, and what we'd like to find out from you is whether you are in support of that particular stipend. Do you support the government's plan to start giving poor families a weekly stipend? Do you support the government's plan to start giving poor families a weekly stipend? And of course, one of the questions that is being asked by many Kenyans is how they're going to allocate that money. Just like Ruth has highlighted, how are they going to decide who gets how much? And this is where really the Huduma number would have come into play had it been done properly. But question is, was it ever done properly? Has anybody even received that Huduma number, or do we still have that slip that we got? We're going to take a short break right here on Morning Express, but do stay with us. When we come back, we'll just review some of the directives given by government as to how we're going to deal with COVID-19 as a country. We take that break, we'll be right back.